On the last Monday of May each year, communities gather at parks, churches, cemeteries, and monuments to memorialize those soldiers who have died in the service of our country. Memorial Day officially began in an 1868 ceremony in Decatur, Illinois, when Major General John A. Logan of the Grand Army of the Republic, a fraternal organization composed of veterans of the Union Army, called for a National Decoration Day to lay flowers at the graves of the Union soldiers that had died in battle. Over the years, the origins of how and where Decoration Day began has sparked debate among historians, including Yale professor and historian David Blight and Adam Dombey, assistant professor of history at the College of Charleston. While doing research for a book on the Civil War at Harvard's library in 1996, David Blight stumbled across a folder labeled Decoration Day. It contained a handwritten narrative by an old veteran, plus a date referencing an article in the New York Tribune. The narrative told the story of this march on a racetrack in 1865. The racetrack was a Washington Racecourse and Jockey Club in Charleston, South Carolina. During the latter part of the Civil War, the Confederate Army transformed the formerly fancy country club into a makeshift prison for Union captives. More than 260 Union soldiers died from disease and exposure while being held in the racetrack's open-air field. Their bodies were buried in a mass grave behind the grandstands. When Charleston fell and the Confederate troops left the badly damaged city, freed slaves remained. These freed slaves immediately gave these soldiers a proper burial. They exhumed the bodies from the mass grave and reinterred the bodies in a new cemetery with a tall whitewashed fence inscribed with the words, "Martyrs of the Racecourse." On May 1st, 1865, according to two reports that Blight found in the New York Tribune and the Charleston Courier, a crowd of 10,000 people, mostly freed slaves with some white missionaries, staged a parade around the racetrack. 3,000 black school children carried bouquets of flowers and sang the Union marching song, John Brown's Body. Members of the 54th Massachusetts Voluntary Regiment and other black Union regiments were in attendance and performed double-time marches. Black ministers recited verses from the Bible. A more detailed account can be found in David Blight's book, Race and Reunion, The Civil War in American Memory. Adam Dombey states, not surprisingly, many white Southerners who had supported Confederacy, including a large swath of white Charlestonians, did not feel compelled to spend a day decorating the graves of their former enemies. It was often African American Southerners who perpetuated the holiday in the years immediately following the Civil War. Although there have been ongoing debates about how the Memorial Day traditions began, the importance of what happened on May 1st, 1865 is still significant. Adam Dombey stated, "There is still a clear cultural link between the 1865 ceremony and later ceremonies. African Americans across the South were instrumental in shaping the early ceremonies for Decoration Day. The cultural link is what interests many historians, including David Blight and myself. So while the ceremony in Charleston may not have been the direct inspiration for Major General Logan, the 1865 ceremony clearly shared many of the meanings that would come to characterize future ceremonies." Thank you, Professor Blight, for uncovering the martyrs of the racecourse and the freed slaves that made it happen. Thank you, Assistant Professor Adam Dombey, for your input for this presentation. Thank you, David Roos, an editor on the History Channel website, for bringing this part of American history to our attention. God bless all of the soldiers who served and died while fighting for our country.